I just want to talk for just a couple of minutes about the pretty extraordinary times that we are in right now. If you think about it, when we take a look at the effects of COVID-19, I'm certainly people already aware that this pandemic has deeply affected pretty much every aspect of life, personally, socially, professionally. All industries have been severely impacted, and it's really causing some pretty major shifts in how we conduct business today. Safety and healthcare measures have been implemented, impacting, workforce availability, staffing needs, variety of impacts. Rapid high demand for certain products, such as personal protective equipment, cleaning and sanitation products, and medical equipment has applied pressure, certainly on many aspects of manufacturing organizations, to ramp up production and maximize supply chains, and for some companies actually to retool their lines. So if you think about, just an example of that, auto manufacturing plants have refocused on building medical components. Clothing manufacturers have included personal protective equipment in their offerings. Just to satisfy demand, distillers have jumped into producing sanitizing products. So really, if you think of all these changes, economies across the globe are being tested and they're being challenged. So according to just interviews conducted by Smart Industry magazine, a lot of companies are approaching things on really a day-to-day basis. Every hour, the situation changes, and companies are obviously doing the best they can to adapt. Some are actually depending on integrators to help make rapidly, as well as to find solutions to the growing need, work remotely. I love having these webinars now because more than ever before, we hear dogs barking in the background, cats coming. I think this is pretty good. We have a new addition to our panelists, and I don't know if it's Tippy or Fido, but he or she is welcome. So anyway, a lot of integrators, I think, are basically on the front lines of industry. They witness the effects of COVID-19 every single day. And so I think talking to our guests today, we just want to get a little bit better idea of what are the challenges, what are the opportunities, how are they meeting those, and how are they handling this particularly demanding time. So with that as kind of a quick backdrop, I really want to jump into the challenges of COVID-19 and the pandemic here. And the first question I'm going to throw at the panel is, in what ways has the pandemic challenged your customers and your integration company? Fransisco, you're in the upper left there, so that makes you first. Your thoughts on that question?
Thank you, Don. Well, I think one of the first challenges is to keep the dogs quiet. I apologize for that. I think the sound is coming from Ecuador, but I don't know if I'm the only one.
We can deal with it, Fransisco. Go on.
Okay. Well, basically the question should be not in what ways it has changed. It's basically in what ways it hasn't, because I think that starting March this year, everything has turned upside down on the way we do business. I think it has turned upside down in the way the customers see our business too, because things that weren't a priority before, now it has become an urgency, not just a priority. So, starting with 4 things like health protocols, because getting into a customer site sometimes is a challenge, because you have to have all the procedures, like tests and all the EPP has changed. The execution times, we are never before were urged to be faster in order to be less time on site and deliver whatever we have to do in the fastest way. And also, over being on site is everything remote. It's turning everything remote. So remote working, remote integration, that's something that we have been working a lot with our customers, being able to start up things, to make changes, to give support remotely. And then finally, that the product that we deliver should be remote too, because as we know, due to age restrictions and stuff, most of the medium and high management levels of the companies are staying home. So, and they need information. They cannot reach the all-time Excel on the local server in the company. So they need to manage, they need to make decisions on real time, and they need to see what's happening on their operations on real time. So I think that's the challenges that we have been facing, and we have been delivering through the use of in this case, of Ignition.
Thanks, Fransisco. I'm going to ask on this particular first question to have everybody go ahead and make some comments. I'll just go around the horn. I'm not going to ask everyone to comment on every question. You can always chime in and interrupt me if you wanted to say something and I didn't call on you at all. But let's go around on this first one of overall, challenges. Titus, give us your thoughts.
Yeah, I would agree with Fransisco there that everything has changed. I think, back to when this all started, we had the ordinance come down from the governor that we all had to go home, and we made an announcement to our employees that it would be a 2-week stay. And I think we're into week 19 or 20 now, and no end in sight. So dealing with the unknown and the daily situational change has been a huge challenge for everybody, and it creates uncertainty and anxiety in everybody, and the human problem is almost as big as the logistical problems that it creates. There's been lots of stuff on the news that everyone's aware of, supply chain issues and dealing with having to shut down a facility. Those are things our clients are facing. We haven't had to face that yet. For us, the biggest issue has been travel restrictions and last-minute changes for on-site work. So, it's very difficult to get everybody all scheduled together to get on-site. And then, a couple of times a day or a week before we're supposed to go on-site, there's a positive test in a plant and all bets are off. So we just recently had the most dramatic one. We have a project going on in the Bahamas, and the Prime Minister of the Bahamas shut the whole country down. So all trips, all travel to that country is forbidden for U.S. Citizens. So now we're just in complete limbo, and so is our client for that project. So largely, I think the show has gone on, but it's definitely been inefficient and been a challenge to think outside the box for how you get around the roadblocks thrown in your way every day.
Thanks, Titus, for your comments on that. Mo, your thoughts?
Well, I'm typing up my resume to Titus. I'll help you out on that Bahama job whenever it comes back online.
Good idea.
Yeah. So, no, I mean, it's much like everyone else, and I'll kind of keep mine brief. I think the biggest thing that we've seen is that with the travel restrictions and the plants having to, especially, manufacturing, it's what, keeps the country moving. So, we can't get to our projects, and so the projects are being postponed, which means we have to delay, our invoicing and our ability to move our projects forward. Luckily, we're pretty data integrated, so we do a lot remotely, and that's helped out a lot. But we're also seeing, a lot of customers holding on to CapEx funds because of the uncertainty with the economy, right? So they're holding on to their capital project funds. With things starting to open back up, we're starting to see more of that now. And with infrastructure projects, that's a good thing because, communications are important in infrastructure. But that's really been our biggest challenge is the travel restrictions, quarantine restrictions, and then just, keeping projects moving forward on schedule because so many of the projects are being postponed because you can't get plans. So that's basically been our test, but it's been really cool to see everybody in the integrator industry changing things up to meet the challenge because everybody on this call is part of keeping the country moving.
Sure. Thanks, Mo. Okay, Wright, over to you.
Sure. This is a very distinguished panel. It's an honor to be with this group that I have great regard for. And they've all said important things that a lot on my list. But one that I would say is each customer is sort of living a different reality. And sometimes it shifts we see our own reality shift and we talk about that, but our customers are going through exactly the same level of seismic shifts. The food industry, for example, some of our customers make grocery store items used in baking, and those are in extremely high demand. So we think, oh, we're going to go knock out things that are going to increase capacity. But then COVID cases pop up and nobody is allowed on site, as y'all have noted. And so the priority of increased capacity gives way to the priority of protect the workforce at all costs and maintain current capacity. Okay, so each customer, and the thing I would try to ask ourselves, I just wonder, are we asking our customers how their world has changed? Like if going into this, they may have been capacity constrained and deeply concerned about OEE. Coming out, they may have completely inverted their priorities, and it's on us to be very aware of that and not, we sometimes get frozen in amber in our view of the world, and so I keep trying to challenge myself in that way.
Sure. Thanks, Wright. Okay, Rob.
Yeah, it's a party of recognition, all the stories I hear. Yeah, from a global perspective, we have seen greatly impacted countries, like for instance, Italy and Spain that completely shut down, no manufacturing at all, not even in food and beverage or pharmaceutical, nothing to do, nobody to reach, everybody at home. And we've seen traditional customers where only a limited amount of people of the staff had email addresses, for instance, and then suddenly they have to work from home. How can you reach them? Can you make agreements, but do also maintenance on the systems if there is no external access to these systems possible? So it also generates a lot of opportunities as well. But yeah, it's an interesting time. And the effects are locally and globally, and every country it seems to be different. We've seen non-intelligent lockdowns, intelligent lockdowns. In the Netherlands, we were partially locked down. That helped keeping the industry afloat. That really helped. But also, if you see how governments pitch in every country, basically in the world, in helping companies to keeping their employees inside the company. And not have to fire them because they provide subsidies is unmatched, I would say, in the history, in the small part of history that I'm in. Yeah, so interesting time, challenging, but it will really help. It really helps thinking out of the box. That's the biggest conclusion, I think.
Sure. Thanks, Rob, and thanks to all of you for comments on challenge. Or certainly you've painted a pretty good picture that there's a lot of hurdles that are faced by integrators and your customers, and the uncertainty